podcast. My name is Caro, and this is a podcast where I talk about all the crafty things I like to do, which are usually fiber related. And that is true for today also. Welcome back. Any old subscribers, old viewers, very, very happy to have you here. And in case this is your very first episode you're watching, a very warm welcome. I hope you stick around if you're interested in cross stitch and knitting and maybe a little bit nerdy tech talk every now and then you're in the right spot here. The last episode has not been very long ago. That was at the beginning of my vacation. I'm back at work, but I'm in kind of my half-time vacation where my kids are still with my mom at our boat house, where we spend all our vacation as a family together as well. And so I have all the afternoons off, which is in a way also a vacation, because I didn't even have that on vacation with the kids, where I just had like 2 hours every day where I can just do what I want, which was mainly stitching and knitting in this past week. So yeah, I wanted to use the time. Today is Thursday, so tomorrow I'll go back to the boat's house where we're gonna spend the weekend again with the kids and my mom, and actually my sister's also gonna be there. But yeah, basically we're picking up the kids, so we're coming back so they can go back to daycare next week. But yes, maybe more on that later. I have actually not that much to show you today because I've been, so to speak, monogamous, I guess. If you count cross stitch and knitting separately, I've only been working on one project each. And I do have a tiny little bit of acquisitions to show you because, I don't know, as you do when you're on vacation, you're just browsing around and buy stuff. And it's already arrived. So yeah, let's get started with the cross stitch. And the only project I put any work in is the Deadly Aquarium Sail by Lola Crow Stitch, and I keep that project in my only fancy project bag that I own, which I made myself. This lovely Projectfolder, which I did following a tutorial by Elizabeth Ann Can Stitch. And I don't think I linked the actual video last week because, sorry for last week's very crude editing job. I usually put in way more stuff and below, but again, I really just wanted to get it out before the vacation. So I'll link that video I talked about last time as well, the one I'm talking about right now, where you can make a project folder like this yourself. But anyways, I already showed that off. So let's look at the project that's inside, which is, again, the Deadly Aquarium Sail, which is an ongoing sail. I don't know how many releases are left. I'm guessing at least 2, maybe 3, but we're currently on a break, which is great. So, let me just show you what I have going on. And a lot has happened. I did note down, 3,451 stitches. And maybe I'll hold this a little further back to throw in a comparison picture so you can see kind of what I did since last time. I was working on the top of the coral reef here and have since completed that cave. And while I was on vacation, the next clue came out, which was these rays. And maybe I'll drop in a picture of the what's come out now, finished mock-up. And you can see there is another stingray that's coming up here. But I'm not sure if I want that. I'm not saying I'm not going to do it, but I kind of want to see where this is going. Right now, I feel like it looks a little bit odd with that stingray jumping out of the aquarium because it's such a nice frame. So I guess, yeah, depending on what's coming down here, because it definitely looks like something's gonna show up here and also on this side, then maybe it'll look a little bit more balanced. So yeah, I'm just gonna wait and see. And honestly, I'm kind of glad to be done with this quickly, hopefully. But as you can see, I'm not caught up yet. I'm working on the last clue that's been released, which is the hammerhead shark here. And then, I don't know, there's another barracuda. I think there is a barracuda that's coming here. So yes, still working on this, still loving how this looks, but I don't think I want facades. I don't know. I'm a little bit torn on it because it is really cool to get a lot of progress on one project, and at least my type of character, I guess, feels forced to work on it, so it's all done until the next clue drops. So I was really working hard basically the entire first week of my vacation to just catch up with what I have not yet stitched, because I was behind like 2.5 clues or something like that. But yeah, meanwhile another clue dropped, so I caught up. I mean, I'm not even caught up with it, because yeah, the ray is not completely done. There's still some white missing here actually, and there's probably some back stitch as well. But I tend to do color by color. So I'm currently working on the black, but I've started with some of the dark gray just to be able to locate where the black goes, kind of thing. So yeah, anyways, yeah, I'm feeling a little bit kind of held up by this project. Maybe that's the right term, because I really wanted to work more on my loom during my vacation, but there was just no time. I kind of prioritized this project because I wanted to get it all done, but yeah, I just never caught up. You know, by the time I was caught up, then the next clue was released, so I had to kind of keep on working on this. And I guess, yeah, I think I'm not going to jump right at the next cell as soon as something comes up. And I mean, I love how this is coming along. I don't think there's any release possible that's gonna totally ruin this for me, probably. So I'm very happy. I don't regret taking part in this. I really, really love it, and it's really fun to stitch. You know, there's lots of colors and stuff. I just want to have the freedom to work on other stuff, but I do feel like I have to complete it, so I'm ready for the next release. So I'm excited when this is over. But yeah, I think my daughter really likes this. She keeps asking about this. So maybe I'll hang this up in her room. I mean, yes, it's deadly fishes, but it's not like morbid or anything. So I think it's okay to hang in a kid's bedroom, I guess. If she's not creeped out by it, who knows what'll show up. But yeah, I'm really happy. Oh yeah, the fabric is, what is it? It's a 36 count even weave. No, not even weave. This is a linen. I'll put in my information bar as per usual. I don't know, the fabrics I can't remember. I seem to not be able to remember that, but it's definitely a 36 count. It's Science Skies by a German fabric dyer, Lady Revenga she's called. She's an Etsy shop. Yeah, and I really like it. It's this Vigord fabric, so yes, that's all that. And I'm stitching it with DMC and CXC. And yeah, that's all the cross stitch I have to show you, at least on works in progress. And let's move on to my knitting, and that is really exciting. I had 2 goals, or had 3 goals actually. I wanted to catch up with the Deadly Aquarium, which I did not achieve. As you can see, I'm still working on it. But the next goal I had was finishing this stripe on my knit blanket, and I achieved that goal. So I'm working on the Polar Nights blanket, which is a design by myself, but it's based on a blanket from Jenise Hope, the Indian Nights blanket. You can find that on Ravelry. But yeah, I entirely redesigned the pattern. So what I took from her design is kind of the layout, which I'll probably pop in a picture on the side. So that's what the entire blanket will eventually look like, hopefully. And yes, but I changed all the color work charts and I finished this super long zigzag stripe, one of 4 and one of 2 with the polar bears. So I'll have to knit this one once more, but for now I'm very, very happy that I'm done with this. As you can see, it's not blocked yet, but I really, really love how this looks, and I'm pretty confident the blocking will make all the stitches look nice and even. I have yet to add a black nose and eye for him, which I'll just kind of embroider over or stitch over. I don't actually know how that's called, if that has a technical term. And yeah, so this is a very, very long stripe, as you can see. In total, I actually just looked that up in my pattern. It is 826 stitches. And I did some calculations. Last time I mentioned, since I'm doing the cross stitch, I'm getting curious on how many knit stitches I actually do. And this project is very easy, at least for now, because I was virtually, I had constant stitches, right? So I just could multiply the rows I did, which was a 19 and a half. I just assumed I was about halfway done with the last row when I showed it to you, times the 826 stitches, which meant I did a 16,107 knit stitches. Isn't that great? So I don't know if I'll continue counting, but I thought it was fun to do that calculation and know at least in the, I guess, 3 weeks since the last episode, how many stitches I did on this project. And I guess I did knit a fair amount. I mean, I probably would have been able to catch up with the aquarium cell if I only worked on that, but that does get boring. So, yay. Very excited that I am done with this. I definitely need a break from the long rows. And I don't think I even would be able to continue with a long row right now, at least not in the way I'm planning on knitting it. Well, actually, technically I would be, but whatever. I would have to knit it from like upside down, which I don't want to do. So on to some more squares. I think I want to knit some small squares just to get like easy finishes. Those are very quickly done. Like on a good evening, I can do one of the little squares, maybe 2, which is probably way more realistic. And yeah, and then I guess once I'll have all those squares together, that I'll need to start the next zigzag stripe. I'll probably get started with the raven stripe just so I see how that's coming together, because that's a big thing I realized while knitting on this. There were a bunch of errors in my pattern, which you just don't see until you actually knit over it, and then you're like, hang on, this doesn't make any sense. So yeah, that's why I want to kind of knit every pattern chart at least once to kind of just check it and prove it and correct all the mistakes, and then maybe I'll release it. So stay tuned for that. I am highly motivated to keep working on this. I'm not in a slump. Let's see. I need to cast on the next square fairly soon, so we don't lose the drive I have on this project. But yay, this is a big win. This brings me to 38% complete on this blanket project, by the way. I am weighing yarn as I'm going. Like I weigh before I do a square, and then I weigh the yarn after. So I will at the end have like estimations on how much yarn of each color you need. That's obviously very specific to this yarn, and if you stick to my colors, but yeah, I find that very helpful. Husband came home and I'm borrowing his key because I forgot my key at the boat's house, but we're going next weekend, so I'll get it back in 2 days. Anyways, that's why I had to open the door. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, the blanket. So yeah, it brings me, I think it's like 38, 39%. I do track that digitally, but I also have my little cross out sheet where I'm like crossing out what I already did. So obviously I did all this. I have not yet attached these center squares to the zigzag, which would be the next step. But I think I kind of want to knit this side and then knit this side and then attach everything, just so the project doesn't become like super huge. So yeah, I think that's why I want to focus on getting these squares done. So that's 4 little squares. And then I can start knitting the raven stripe here. And then I'll repeat the process on this side. So I still have some big squares to knit here. So yeah, I'm missing a lot on this side, obviously. So, but I think I'll focus on getting this side done and then probably also knitting these squares, because then that would be the point where I would be able to release the pattern, having knit at least 50%, I guess. And then I'll release the pattern, because then I kind of assembled this half, so I'll know obviously how the other half will go, because that will be the same. I think that's my plan of action right now. So not in like 2 weeks, but maybe also not in an entire year, but saying that it's probably gonna end up being a year. So yeah, don't hold your breath, but also stay tuned. But yes, so that's all my knitting, and that's all I worked on. I've been very monogamous, I guess, again, if you count the 2 crafts separately, because yeah, I like to get a lot of progress in one project rather than little progress in a lot of projects. But my focus, I'm going to start, maybe even today, a new cross stitch pattern. And that brings me to my acquisitions. Yes. And yeah, I placed an order mainly because I wanted to get a dimensions kit. And the dimensions kit I'm talking about is the Peaceful Lake House. And I got it here. And I've been eyeing up this pattern forever. So it comes with fabric and floss and the pattern. And I think there was also a needle. Yeah, the needle's in here, obviously already ripped into it. But yeah, the reason I really wanted to get this, because this reminds me a lot of our lake house that we just spent our vacation at. So my mom owns that house, and we like to spend at least a week there in the summer. And now we just spent 2 weeks there, and we actually just finished building our boat, which we tried out this summer. So yeah, this is just kind of perfect. So I really love this because it reminds me so much, because yeah, obviously there is a lake house, and then there is a boat which looks very similar to the boat we just built. And then there's a red boat, which we also have, like basically this kind of boat that kind of came with a house. And then instead of this boat, we actually have a red kayak. So obviously, being me, I can't just buy a kit and then go with it. I adjusted it. So what I did, actually my original plan was to just buy this kit and then manually kind of transfer the pattern into my pattern making software. By the way, I'm using currently WinStitch. WinStitch has like a free demo version, which I think you can't export PDF and stuff with the demo version. For that, you need the full version, but you can save XSD files, which is the file format you need for Saga. So I don't need the full version. The demo version is completely enough for me. But yeah, anyway, so my plan was to just scan the chart and then import that into WinStitch and just retrace everything. But then I found online, and don't ask me how this is legal, it probably isn't, but since I already own the pattern, or the kit, I felt like it was okay to buy that was actually a PDF version of that cross stitch kit. I've since learned there's actually people out there that already have the XSD file. So next time I would just go straight to the XSD version. But since I have a way to transfer PDF to XSD, I just bought that. I was like, that's going to save me a lot of time instead of doing it manually. But I really wanted to have it kind of digitally so I can change it. So because our house is not red, and it also doesn't have like this little 4-house thing. And as I said, this boat is similar, but it's not the same. And then we have a red kayak and not this weird other kind of boat. So I kind of wanted to change this pattern so it'll look more like our lake house. And I'll probably insert now a picture of what I have so far. I'm not completely done, but I'm like so excited. I'm beyond excited. This is going to be so cool. As you can see, I changed this dock here into actually the dock of our neighbors. That's kind of our view we get on top of the mountain we see in the distance. There is like a little tower, so I added that. I changed the boat really just a little bit, mainly the color. Our boat's blue. Who's surprised by that? And the house, which is also blue. I'm not the only one in the family who loves blue. My mom decided on that. So she painted the house blue. I think it actually used to be red, now that I think of it. I think this is a pretty good representation of what our house used to look like before my mom changed it. I left the boat as is and kind of the sea roses. I don't know if that's what they're supposed to be, but that's what I'm seeing in them. And I left this just because like in the original pattern, there's like some French knots and there's some specialty stitches, and I think it's kind of a nice area. It does not look in real life like that, but I mean, I'm taking some creative liberty here. But I did change this kind of rocky area here to some reeds, which is what is there. And then I put our red kayak in there because I had like an area that I had to fill. And I love it. It's so cool. Like the trees are the same. So you can definitely tell that it used to be this pattern. And I just kind of went in and changed a few things. Like the roof, for instance, I left the same, even though in this kit, it looks like it's supposed to be like a tiled roof or something. And our roof is a reed roof. But I think just by taking out the horizontal back stitches, it's going to look like a reed roof, really. I kind of thought it would be one, honestly, on first glance at this pattern. So that's perfect, just because of the color, I guess. So yes, I'm like super excited to start this. The size of this project, I think, what was it? Like 183 by 138 or something like that. So yeah, it's not too big. And yeah, I'm just excited to get it started. And another reason why I decided to purchase this pattern and not just kind of make my own, because, I mean, yeah, no, it was definitely worth getting the pattern because I did not change a whole lot. I would say it's like less than 50% that I changed. But I also just wanted to see how the dimensions kids are done, because it's not just full crosses by color kind of thing. They have so many, like, I don't know, they have a mix of full cross and half stitch. And then they have a mix of like 2 threads, 6 threads, 5 threads. They do blends. Some blends are 1 strand of each color. Other blends are 2 strands of each color. And then there's more blends that have like three threads of this color and then 2 threads of this color. So it's like pretty intense, honestly. And yeah, again, like French knots. I don't think this one has beads. I don't think there's any beads. There's obviously a lot of back stitches. So yeah, there's just a lot happening. But I really like, obviously, the look. I think many people like the look because it looks so detailed and it kind of gets a bit more realistic that way. I'm curious to see how it'll end up looking stitched up, because I hear people talk about then it also creating like dimensions, like things popping in the foreground that are like full crosses and then stuff going in the background because they're like half stitches or just like not quite as intense in color. So yeah, I'm just curious to see how this will stitch up. And yeah, I have ideas on what else I could maybe design on my own in that style. That's kind of why I wanted to learn from how Dimensions does kids, and I really just enjoyed this. So yeah, very, very excited with that. I don't know, the reason I have not started with this yet, honestly, is the fabric. Because the kit came with like a beige 14 count Aida fabric, which will make the entire project fairly big, I think. Like 35 by 30 centimeters. I mean, it's not massive. I don't know. That's kind of where I'm hung up. Is like what fabric I want to use. Do I want to order something different? But I'm also tempted to just get started because I want to get started. So yeah, I don't know. Have not made a decision on that. I am tempted, but I maybe shouldn't, to use this one, which is my next acquisition. So I bought a fabric, which is also an Aida, but this one is 18 count. And I think, it does not say on here, but I'm pretty sure I remember that this was supposed to be vintage country mocha. So you see it has like a bit of modeling happening. And I bought this for a different project. I did show you that I got the chart, and that's the Garden Carps by Owl Forest Embroidery, which, by the way, since it is a Russian company, they do provide the Saga app files. So that's exciting. I won't have to do anything with that. It might be a pattern that I just stitch straight up. Actually, no, I won't. I mean, I'm doing a color conversion on that. So I did get colors for that project. No, I'm not even doing a color conversion. What am I talking about? Well, slightly. I'm confused. So these are the colors I got. So that's the remainder of my haul, which is, apart from the white, the pattern also calls for a white, what I'll be using. So this is DMC colors, but I am planning on dyeing them or over dyeing them. Basically want to create my own over dyed with these DMC flosses for the Garden Carps project, which I'll probably put in a picture here, because I wanted to get the actually the flosses from Owl Forest Embroidery. I had them all picked out, but I don't know, with shipping and everything, it would have been so expensive. And then I thought, no, I'll just buy the floss myself and try to over dye them myself to get some variegated floss. So that's something I'll still have to do. I need to get some, not Rit dye. It's a different brand here in Germany. Simply Coal, I think, or something like that. And yeah, I also wanted to dye the fabric into a blue, but since this is already modeled, I guess I'll just have to straight up dye it with blue, or I'll add some more modeling. I guess it can't hurt. I've actually just seen a YouTube video that used a very interesting technique for dyeing Aida fabrics. I'm sure it works on other fabrics as well, but she used super small cuts, so I don't know if that would work with bigger cuts, but I guess it's worth a try. But yeah, I have to see how much I'll need of this fabric. This is obviously a pre-cut that I got, and maybe the off-cut that I won't need for the Garden Carps might be enough of this. Maybe that's the next thing I'll check out once I'm done filming. And then I could just start stitching on this, because I think I would prefer to stitch on 18 count. Now, yeah, if I'm being honest, that's what I would prefer, but I don't know if the offcut's going to be enough. So I'll have to figure that out. My battery is out, so I'll swap that out before we get to the end. Okay. Now I'm back, and the lighting has probably dramatically changed because I had to close the blinds. I realized that the light back here became quite drastic, so I hope it was okay and you could see something of the things I was showing. But yeah, in the evening, the sun comes around and then we get full light in here and it gets pretty warm too. I'm actually sweating. It's like way too hot out there for me. I can't wait till the temperature drops like 5 degrees. 5 degrees would be enough. We're like in the high 20s degree. And I prefer the lower 20s. That's definitely better. But anyways, so yeah, that was all the acquisitions I had. Not that much. I managed to ramble about it 15 minutes anyways. But yeah, I did want to say a thank you to 2 people that mentioned me in their videos. The one person is one that I also need to say sorry. And that is Maria, the Green Stitcher. I mentioned her in my last episode. And I messed up her name. I thought she was called Anna. I was thinking about, is she Anna or is she Anne? But no, she was Maria. And yeah, I have a terrible name memory. But again, the last episode was very no prep. Usually I have a bit of notes. So I probably would have written down her name. Anyways, she's a lovely podcaster. You definitely have to check her out. But yes, she mentioned me on her video. So I wanted to say thank you for that. And the other person, which is actually a Flosstuber I was not yet aware of, so I found her through me mentioning me, and that is Erica from Floss and Fibers Canada. No, Fibers and Floss, sorry. Fibers and Floss Canada. And yeah, again, she's a new to me Flosstuber. On my vacation, I don't have any Wi-Fi or anything, so it's just on data on my phone. So I was only able to watch her episode. Actually, I had to sit at the information of the tourist office to get some Wi-Fi there. So I could watch that, and obviously you're curious what somebody says about you when they're mentioning you. But yeah, she seems to be like a super interesting, very versatile stitcher. So I'm definitely interested to seeing some of her stuff, but it's so funny. Like a lot of people, also like people that subscribe to me or comment, seem to be from Canada, which is like so cool. I don't know. I mean, I guess I mentioned Canada a lot, just like from themes and imagery. But I guess like just YouTube algorithm wise, I don't see why Canadians would be led to my Flosstube, but they do. And it's really cool because obviously I do have some connections to Canada. So yay, welcome Canadians. Obviously welcome everybody else too. But I do like seeing that there is some people from Canada watching me. That makes me happy for some reason. But anyways, thank you, Erica, for the kind words you want to say about me and mentioning me. And yeah, I will definitely check out some more of your Flosstubes. But I'm currently kind of working through my backlog of YouTube videos and stuff. But yeah, that also brings me to my next segment, because I figured if this episode is maybe not so long, I could talk about books and TV, because a lot of YouTubers do that. And actually quite recently, I found the book series I'm currently on, also through people talking just about what they're reading and watching. So I figured I could add that segment here. There's actually no huge surprises. Seems to be, at least the Flosstubers I watch have also a very similar taste in TV shows and books they're reading. So this might be boring because it's the same as everybody else, but I am watching, like everybody else, House of Dragon. And yeah, I do have a love-hate relationship with the fact that they only release one episode every week. It's kind of cool because it reminds you back in the days where you were kind of bound to TV programming and you had to wait a week until your next favorite episode of your favorite show is released. So yeah, it's kind of drawing out the experience of watching that show. But at the same time, I hate it because obviously I want to know what's happening, because all episodes end on a super crazy cliffhanger and you just want to be able to binge everything. But you cannot. So I'm filling the week in between with rewatching season 1 of House of the Dragon, because I have to admit the first season I wasn't that into it. I don't know why. I loved Game of Thrones. I was totally with it, and I was desperately waiting every Sunday for the next episode to drop. I read the books as far as they're out anyways, and I'm also very, very impatient for George R.R. Martin to release a next book. I don't think it's gonna happen, but there's hope. Anyways, so yeah, I didn't quite, I mean, I watched season 1, but honestly, it was kind of a blur. I think I watched that actually after it dropped, so I did binge it. Maybe binging is not that good in that sense because I didn't understand anything. I'm kind of realizing that now that I'm watching season 2, there's like a lot of characters. I'm like, who are you? I mean, there's also the problem that they all have the same names. It feels like that way anyways. So it's super hard to tell them all apart. But yeah, now I'm rewatching season 1 and a lot of stuff gets a bit more clear. I feel like they did a lot of like time jumps, not crazy time jumps, just like 1 or 2 years. But in those 1 or 2 years, kids popped up. And that's where the like, who are you moments are from. Because like, okay, 10 minutes ago, there was no 2 kids on your arm. Like, where are they coming from all of a sudden? And you just, whatever, got yourself a drink and didn't pay attention for 30 seconds. And that happened. So yeah, I just finding rewatching season 1 definitely helps me kind of understanding kind of characters and stuff that I didn't quite get when I started watching season 2. But really enjoying it. Great. Thumbs up. If you're into Game of Thrones, fantasy stuff, awesome. Definitely read the books too. I mean, I think it's definitely better to read the books before you know what's happening. Because there are very, very long books. And I feel like it might be a little bit hard to stick to them when you already know what's happening. Obviously, is a little bit easier to read through something when you find it like gripping and you really want to find out what's happening. But yeah, anyways, for most people, it's probably too late to read the books without having seen the show if I haven't read the books yet. But yeah, if you haven't and you are into fantasy, highly recommend. The books I'm reading is actually the book series I'm reading is one that I got inspired by Kelsey from, is it X Stitch and Chill or Cross Stitch and Chill here on YouTube. She has a lovely podcast. I watch her religiously and she has great sound quality. I'm super curious what microphone you use. I have little issues with my voice. I find it very harsh at times. But anyways, she's great. Not just her sound quality. I also really like her, I guess her character. She's very fun and quirky to listen to. And she also has really cool projects. So go check her out, but she also talks about books and shows she's watching. She's watching Game of Thrones. I think not Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon. But she definitely likes reading fantasy. And yeah, she was talking about a book series, Kingdom of Lies, it's called, by, I rolled all of this down because I can't remember, Stacia Stark. And I haven't heard of it. And she actually kind of mentioned it in a way that she thought it was better. I don't know if she said ACOTAR or Throne of Glass. But anyways, that's a big series. And it's actually a fairly good one. I've read both of those. And so I was really intrigued. And so I'm on book 3. I virtually just finished that. Just before I started recording this, as I was kind of getting things together, I was listening to the very end of book 3, which was A Crown This Cold and Heavy. They're all called very similarly, which is book 3 of Kingdom of Lies. And I like it. It's a great series. It's very... you feel me hesitate because, I don't know, I love fantasy books and stuff. But the more you read... And this is not necessarily a bad thing for this book particularly, but this is kind of the first one where I'm maybe just realizing it. The stories and the plot twists and all that, they all are very similar. They all kind of follow a very similar arc of stuff. So even though I really enjoy this book, and there's 4 books in the series, so I'm definitely gonna I listen to all my books. I'm audiobook nearly 100%, just because I can do other stuff while I'm listening to it. I'm usually listening it in the car when I'm going to and from work. Anyways, so what I was going to say, I'm going to listen to the last book in the series because I am enjoying it a lot. It's very entertaining, and I like the characters. I like the main characters. And but yeah, the storyline, the arc, like especially I think in book 1 and 2, I was like, this is exactly the same as the Throne of Glass. Like, it's even like in a similar world, you know? It's like fae and magic. And obviously there's kind of a love story going on. And there was a point where she got captured and then rescued. I mean, I hope I'm not spoiling too much right now, but it's just very similar to how things unfold in the Throne of Glass. And there is one thing I particularly like in this book series. I think I like the writing style more in this, because the Throne of Glass and also ACOTAR, I think ACOTAR even more, is kind of very long-winded and drawn out. Like, she uses way more pages to kind of tell, I guess, a comparable story development in what Stacia Stark is doing. So, yeah, I like that Stacia Stark is a little bit more concise in her series. It's not quite as long. It's still a long book. Like, I think one book is like 16 hours in the audio version. But yeah, it doesn't feel like it's quicker paced. I guess stuff happens quicker, which I do appreciate, and I do prefer over the writing style of Sarah J. Maas in the especially ACOTAR series. But the love scenes, I find it's the end of book 3. I guess the second half of book 3, there wasn't that many of them. But I found, especially like book 2, I think, is just too much. I don't know. It was too many, and it was just too descriptive. Like, more info than I needed. The language got a little bit too graphic for me. I guess it's kind of comparatively, if like in a war things get very gory, like the equivalent word for gore in a love scene, I guess, if you know what I mean. So yeah, that was just a bit too much, but I hope, since they have a established relationship now, we're gonna get less of that. She doesn't feel like she needs to drive the point in that they love each other. So yes, I guess that's my critique, which yeah, definitely like ruined book 2 a little bit for me, I must say. Like, there was points where I was just like, okay, love scene, I'll just skip ahead, because it just wasn't like, don't need to know, you know? So yes, I definitely like prefer those scenes the way Sarah J. Maas is describing them. And she gets spicy too. Like, I mean, if you know the books, you know there is some spice happening there. So I like it. But yeah, just, there's an upper limit to how much detail I need there. So yeah, I guess that's the main ones. The ACOTAR, I'm actually not done yet. I took a little break in that series. The next book I am on would be The Court of Frost and Starlight. I don't even know which book that is. Like, it's at least book 4 or 5. But yeah, I think I just had a little bit too much of Sarah J. Maas, because I was listening to the Throne of Glass series before that, and then I got right into the ACOTAR. And I think I just needed a break from her. I actually started listening to Bridgerton, The Duke and I, by Julia Quinn. But yeah, then I watched Kelsey from Cross Stitch and Chill, and then she mentioned that series, and I was like, it's better than ACOTAR, and I was like, ooh, I'm interested. So yeah, I kind of have not continued or finished the first book of Bridgerton. But yes, that's all I'm listening to right now. So got a little bit of a sense what I like. I guess I have one more book in that Kingdom of Lies, and then I'm on the lookout for something new. So if you have any recommendations along those lines, I'm all ears. If all fails, I guess I continue the Bridgerton one, which is obviously I know it from the Netflix series. And I watched that, and I immensely enjoyed it, and I can't wait until the next season happens, although I heard who the next main character is, and I'm not sure I'm too interested in him. even forgot his name. Can't even come up with his name. One of the Bridgerton brothers, obviously. But yeah, I'm sure it's going to be good anyways. So yes, that's all I wanted to talk about today. And I'm sorry, I feel like a little bit frazzled towards the end, but I think I'm just hot, like sweat standing in my face. So I think that's a sign I need to finish. It's probably another hour-long podcast. I'm sorry, and I'm not sorry, because I personally prefer long episodes anyways, because I'm just stitching away and I don't want to constantly look for something new to watch. I'm happy if things take long, as long as I'm not annoying. I hope I wasn't annoying. Yeah, if you're still here, throw me a book emoji, since that is the new content I talked about, I guess. So yes, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to be back next month, probably. I don't think I'll do another update in another 2 weeks. That's just too much for me. But yes, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.